Hi, my name is Bev and welcome to my channel. To jump right into things, I'm 22 years old and I'm autistic. I didn't exactly grow up knowing that though. It took until I was 21 for me to receive a diagnosis and for me to receive some kind of validation, really. So yeah, I was diagnosed with autism only a year ago, and it's really weird being diagnosed at 21. There's been a lot of emotions, both positive and negative. There's this newfound sense of validation that I've been searching for so long. Um, you know, I was having difficulty with things that were seemingly so easy and so simple for others, and I started to convince myself that I was making things up and I just wasn't trying hard enough. So receiving a diagnosis has felt like it's answered some of my questions. But there's also been a lot of shame and sadness for my younger self, who was unfortunately put in a lot of situations that weren't ideal for someone who's autistic. I'm not going to lie and say that I had absolutely no idea that I was on the spectrum. Growing up I always felt different, but I know that for kids it's so easy to think that every situation is 100% unique to you, and that no one understands what you're feeling. But I started wondering if I was autistic as early as I remember being 10 and wondering that. And I definitely took so many online Am I Autistic quizzes as a teen, which almost always pointed to yes. And the only thing that stopped me from being fully convinced that I had it was that no one had ever talked to me about it. And I just assumed the one thing that gave me comfort during that time was, okay, the adults in my life would know if I had autism and they would have spoken to me. They'd know and they would tell me. I just became very paranoid that I was the only one in my life that didn't know that I had it. I remember wondering if there was this giant elephant in the room where everyone else around me is just they're all collectively like, oh yeah, we know she has it, but she doesn't know. And on the inside I'm like, no guys, please, I swear I'm in on it too. And again, that's the weird thing, is I think I was most afraid of being left out. So when I actually did get the diagnosis, it sent me into quite a bit of a spiral of just absolutely overanalyzing every single social interaction I've ever had in my life. And I've just always felt like the odd one out, and this news just solidified that idea for me. So I blocked my friends out for a bit, and I have to admit that it's been hard for me to have the confidence to meet new people, because there's something in me, I keep thinking that autism is all someone sees or hears when I'm speaking to them. And it's been this weird thing, but I don't know if I need to disclose whether or not I have autism. Should I have to? Is there a right time? Because I've been masking for so long, I almost feel like I'm false advertising myself if I don't tell someone I'm autistic. But I'm also aware that if I tell someone straight up, right after meeting them, that there can be this other idea of me, unfortunately, where they might back away. It took me a long time to talk to anyone about it, really. I'm still learning so much about it. Even just me saying I'm autistic, it feels very new and very foreign to me. And the reason why I didn't talk about it for so long, it wasn't that I was in denial or anything by any means. It was more so that I feel like I was very uneducated about ASD, and I didn't want to accidentally say anything hurtful, offensive, false that could offend other people in the neurodivergent community, because that wouldn't be my intention by any means. It's still so obscure to me that I went all those years without being diagnosed. I've been seeing therapists and psychiatrists since I was 12. I was actually hospitalized for anorexia for 4 months, and it was never caught during that time frame. Point being that I was under constant supervision and nothing was ever addressed. And that's not me blaming anyone. I don't hold any resentment or anything. It's just so interesting. Another thing is that in this whole process of me processing everything, I've come face to face with a lot of internalized ableism that I didn't even know I had. So that's something that I'm actively working through. It's so odd. I didn't know I had that in me. I didn't know how deep-rooted it was. I frequently find myself wondering what things would be like had I been diagnosed much sooner. The truth is, though, that I've been through plenty of things in my life that were not in my control. So I know that not every single bad thing that's happened is because I didn't have a diagnosis. You know, I'm not going to torture myself and by convincing myself that everything would have been perfect, nothing else would have happened, everything would have been great had I known, because that's not the case. And I'm going to give myself grace and not torture myself. The main reason why I wish I would have known that I was autistic and why I wish that the adults in my life would have known is because there were so many things that I've struggled with from a young age, and I never knew why. I've always felt this strong sense of defeat. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have the answers. I always, like I said earlier, I always beat myself up. I assumed I just wasn't trying hard. I always thought that people would think I was making things up, making up excuses. It got worse during my teen years. I always chalked that up to it being trauma, which that could have likely been a part of it. I described it as this weird mind-body disconnect. I would joke and say that my Bluetooth just wasn't working. I would hear instructions, read instructions. I couldn't execute anything. There were several things that could have been really beneficial for me. They could have been very healthy outlets. Not something I needed during those years. Dance lessons, volleyball, picking up an instrument, artwork, they were all things that it wasn't even like, I know it's okay not to be the best at something. I am a perfectionist, and I'm a Virgo, and I'm autistic. So of course I want to do great at something. I want to succeed. I want to excel. But it was like I couldn't even do the bare minimum. I couldn't quite pick up these skills as fast as my peers would. And of course that was embarrassing for me socially, and it ultimately led to me just quitting a lot of these activities, which had I known, like, hey, I need extra time, extra assistance, I could have stuck with these things. Had I known, I didn't have to drop them all together. And I feel like, I don't know, I guess that's on me. Had I given myself time. I said that I was going to keep this video short, so the whole purpose of me making this video, it was for other late diagnosed autistics and for anyone who's navigating getting a diagnosis. You're not alone. Remember that self-diagnosis is also very valid. Your feelings are valid. I guess that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day.